It is time for us to go over the rule changes for the 2025 season. I am going to give a little bit of a preamble here before we get into it and share the results with everybody. If you go to the Google form and look, it's not accurate. We had somebody this morning change their answers, which is past the due date, 2 days past the due date for changing of the answers. And so the due date was on Saturday. It needs to be a week before the draft before it's finalized. So you had until 11:59 Central to do that. So I have a snapshot of what the results were. I shared with some people while we were traveling, but I do not um, have the results live the same way that they were in the snapshot. So I'd written them down as they were. And there were witnesses to that as well. So Andy witnessed, Ryan witnessed, Jeff witnessed as well. Um, so yeah, so let's go over what passed. Let's start with what failed. Let's start with the rules that were proposed that were denied by the league, and we'll go over the tally for that as well. So the first failed rule change proposal was to remove defenses with a 7-1 vote, to abstaining from voting. Adding keepers to the league was 8-2-0. So everybody was passionate about that one way or another. The 2026 buy-in will not increase to $300 from a 6-3 and one abstain vote. And then expanding the league to 12 teams in 2026. This is interesting because it was split the day of, and somebody changed their vote on Saturday. So it was 4-4-2. It ended up being 6-3-2 in favor of keeping it a 10-man league. So none of those rules are changing. Here are the rules that passed by decision at the deadline. Reducing the number of bench spots by one. I think that was pretty clear and obvious from an 8-1 to 1. So 8 in favor, one opposed, one abstaining. Removing the payout for fourth place was another 8-1-1 in favor of removing the payout for fourth place. And then the 2026 buy-in fee will remain $250. I think this one was worded weird because I looked at the bylaws after we had sent out, and I think everybody paid 200. I'm not sure what the buy-in was for this year, to be honest, but the bylaws had 250, but I think we socialized 200. So just to clarify, next year will be 250 as well, it sounds like. And then the interesting one here that did pass was flipping the coin to decide tiebreakers was 5-3-2. So two abstaining votes, five in favor of, two opposed. Um, this is interesting. Before I get into where the split decision stuff is and start recording, um, or screen sharing the flipping to decide these. This one was interesting because had this tied, there is no existing rule. So I was torn between, okay, do we talk about this in the off season if it's 5-5 and just default to what we've been doing since it exists, which is probably where I was leaning, as much as it pains me to say, because I am definitely on the side of flipping a coin for tiebreakers. The other one would have been commissioner's decision, which I don't want to do because that's incredibly biased. So I would have ended up flipping a coin anyway to make that as unbiased as possible. So happy that this one turned out the way that it is, but does put some stuff at risk. And this is where I think coin flip is going to make a difference, because if genuinely you become passionate about a position on any of these rules that happens, you'll want to take a stance rather than abstaining. You'll want to have conversation. I was a live witness to conversations where people were talking about specific rules that were proposed and other people changed their mind. So I'm proud that people were like, oh, I get that perspective. That makes me change mine. And then I have also seen people waver back after those conversations were had, after being in the privacy of their own home. So I don't know if it was smoke or if it was genuine like reconsideration, but there are five, which I'm proud of all of you for finding a way to split decisions right down the middle to make this as malicious as you possibly could. And that is why having a coin flip, I feel, is going to help us, because I don't have to fucking be the person to one way or another say it was this or that. So without further ado, the pick six is equal to -6 points for the throwing player. This cannot be limited to quarterbacks because Yahoo won't allow for that to be the case. You and I'm not manually doing the work to have that done. So this is altered like ever so slightly, just in the chance that like there's a dump off pass play, or if there's like a pitch to a pass kind of a thing, and then that guy throws the pick six, like the running back who threw the pass is going to be the one to get -6. So it's really just like pick sixes are negative against the player that is throwing. The other one was the $50 prize award for the consolation bracket. Thought what was interesting was that you guys wanted to not reward the person who ended up in fourth place, which I actually do get because that person makes it to the playoffs and then loses two straight. Um, to end up in fourth, they would have to make it to the playoffs and then lose every game in order to end up in fourth place. So like that makes some sense to me. I'm sorry, they would have to win one of three games to end up in fourth. The other loser is sixth place. So that would make sense. This one's interesting because I misinterpreted this when it was told to me. And I think everybody does understand it this way. But the sixth playoff spot is going to be awarded to the highest points. So the way that it was worded was if that highest point person is not already in the top six, then it would go to that person if they did not make the playoffs. If they made the playoffs already, they're in, so it didn't matter. That's the way that I had written up the rule. That was what was voted on. And they did not clarify that with Ryan, who proposed it. So for this year, I've already talked to Ryan. We're going to implement it this way, and then we can put it up for reconsideration next year to tweak that if we want. But if it passes the coin flip, it'll be instated. If not, it won't. And then last place, this one I like. Non-monetary punishment for the person who ends up in last place. It was a 4-4 and 2 abstained, meaning that two of you are either so confident that this won't pass or are so confident that they're never going to be in that spot. They just don't give a shit. Let the plebeians figure it out. And then the last one is to permanently remove kickers from the league with a complete 5-5 split. No one abstained. Everyone has a very strong opinion about that one way or another. So what I am going to do here is screen share, and we're going to do this part as live as possible. I am traveling to Lake Geneva for work this week, and I want to get you guys the ability to do your draft stuff this week. So I did not want to wait to do this anymore. So I will share my screen and I will go through the coin flip generator. And we're going to do this part as live as possible here. So let's take a look. All right. The first decision that we are putting up, in which I will mark, I'm going to leave the best for last here, is what I think some of you may consider to be a very important one, is pick six equals -6 for the throwing player. This was that 5-5 split. So I am going to do heads equals yes and tails equals no. So if it is heads, it will be implemented. If it is tails, it will not be implemented in the 2025 season. Let's make the flip. See what we've got. It is tails. It will not be implemented in the 2025 season. So we have our first fail vote. Let's move on to the next one. We've got the $50 prize award for the consolation winner. This one was another 5-5 split. We will do heads is yes and tails no for this one as well. And we've got heads. Yes, there will be a consolation prize of $50. Wonderful. Okay, we've got our sixth place playoff spot awarded to the highest points if they finish outside of. Flipping, and let's see where this one goes with this. That is heads. That will also be implemented. That is passed. That is another Gavigan introduction, so he'll be happy he's got one of two of those that gets in. Last place, non-monetary punishment. This one is interesting. Heads will be we're passing a monetary punishment and a non-monetary punishment, and tails is no, we are not. Oh my God, I'm nervous about this one. Tails. Okay, we are not putting in a monetary punishment, so we've got fail on that. And last and certainly not least, permanently remove kickers from the roster is the proposal, and heads is pass and tails is fail. Heads passing. We are permanently removing kickers from the roster for ever. The permanent means permanent, Andy. Suck it. Um, yeah, so we've got fail, pass, pass, fail, pass. So to reiterate, pick sixes are not happening for -6 points. There will be a prize award for the consolation winner. Sixth place spot will be the highest points, if not in the top six. Last place will not be punished, and we are permanently removing kickers from the roster for the 2025 season. Those are your total changes. I will send out an email with this video on it as evidence that we did that as live as we could. I apologize that I couldn't have anybody on this to do it, but I am heading out of town and will not be back until Thursday, and I have zero opportunity to this. I actually tried to copy paste results from Google, but wasn't able to do that at work. So this is my 30-minute downtime to do it. Uh, Looking forward to it. Remember, just important things if you are getting this far in here. Please, please, please go to Yahoo. Go try to do a mock draft on there. I know that you don't need to do the full mock draft, but I need you to check the computer you're using for the draft is going to be able to handle software that they're using. The draft is Saturday, August 23rd at 7:30 p.m. That is when the timer is starting. The actual draft opens up 30 minutes beforehand, at least. I think it might be 20, but be ready at 7 o'clock. Try logging in many days in advance to make sure that you have your access. Remember, we had people try to log in last minute that weren't able to do it. So please do that as well. For those of you that are coming over to my house, any time of the day works. I will see you when you get here. I do not have a formal plan, but I can tell you from this weekend that Nintendo 64 games were incredibly popular. So if any particular person is looking for a rematch of any kind, they're more than welcome to come over, and I will see you then. Any questions, reach out, email a follow up. You're going to have the email, obviously, when you open this. So I don't know why I'm telling you that, but just making sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. That is all she wrote. I am looking forward to the draft and seeing all of your beautiful faces either there or online in some capacity. What I will do before the draft, for those of you that are not going to make it in person, I will put a Zoom link out there, I think, so that we can have like a virtual lobby. Jeff Liu, join anybody if you've got anything and you can make it, be there. If you're not able to make the draft in person, just pop in there and say, hey, if you want to do that. Other than that, boyos, we are less than a week away from Fantasy Football 2025 in the Craps Jackpot. Looking forward to it. Take care.